to be someone else, so I'll explode.
It seems that nearly every day stories about assisted suicide are splashed across our newspapers, across our television screens. But public debates about euthanasia are not new. Back in the 1990s, the Voluntary Euthanasia Society mounted a major campaign to legalise mercy killing here in the UK. But then the focus was on uncontrollable pain, and particularly from cancer. There were heart-rending stories of people dying in agony. You wouldn't let a dog die like that, so why on earth should human beings be allowed to suffer in this way? 10 years on and the debate has changed. Uncontrollable pain is no longer the issue it once was. Advances in palliative care mean that with the right treatment, no one need die in uncontrollable pain. So now the debate is focused not so much on pain, but on control and on choice at the end of life. I should have the right to choose when I die and how I die.
The freestander.
There have been a series of high-profile media cases like Diane Pretty with motor neurone disease, Debbie Purdy with multiple sclerosis, and then there's that tragic succession of people who've gone to the Dignitas suicide clinic in Zurich. People like Daniel James, the young rugby player with spinal paralysis, or the conductor Charles Groves and his wife, who were just elderly and frail and tired of life. Although suicide itself is not illegal, assisting or pressurising someone to commit suicide is a serious criminal offence. But many have argued that here in the UK, people who are suffering unbearably should have the right to be assisted to die. And in 2006, the eminent human rights lawyer, Lord Joffe, put forward a bill to legalise the assisted suicide of people who were terminally ill and had less than 6 months to live. After prolonged discussion and debate, the bill was defeated here in the House of Lords. But the campaign to change the law hasn't stopped. What in the 1990s was called the Voluntary Euthanasia Society has changed its name and is now called Dignity in Dying. And I've come here to Oxford Street in the centre of London to speak to James Harris, Director of Communications and Campaigns.
There has to be a line drawn. Society has to draw this line. We need to engender choice in the individual, but while society draws its parameters of where that choice can take place. We would like to see a process whereby people who have legitimate concerns about dying can have conversations with their doctors about these concerns and what their wishes are at the end of life. And if there are unmet needs, those needs can be met. And what society would be doing is it would be saying, look, we understand their concerns, let's talk about these, let's try and meet these unmet needs. And in cases, in genuine cases where there are people who are dying and who are suffering and consider their suffering unbearable and have a persistent request to die, actually we will allow these people to have an assisted death.
The arguments for the legalisation of assisted suicide are gaining increasing prominence in the newspapers. These are the words of Melanie Reid, a Times journalist, written just 3 weeks ago. What black irony it is, in a world where one can buy 1,000 brands of fridge or order a zillion different specifications of a new car, that any organised choice about how to end our lives is removed from us. Just the most important consumer decision of the lot, the ultimate act of autonomy, denied to us, that's all. The right to a good death exists and must be met. It is demanded by an educated, realistic society, no longer bound by religious superstitions about the end of life. We live in a world where we can control every other aspect of our life. So people say to me, look, if someone is really suffering, why on earth shouldn't we help them to die when and where they actually choose? In the end, isn't that the most compassionate thing to do?